All right, let's dive in. Have you ever felt like you needed decoder ring just to understand the world we live in? I mean, the language, the ideas, it can get so confusing. Well, today, we're going to build that decoder ring together. We're going to unpack some really fascinating concepts to help make sense of it all. So let's get right to it.
I mean, you've probably felt this, right? It's this deep, weird contradiction. On one hand, we've never been more connected, more aware of all the big global issues. But on the other hand, the pressure to just focus on ourselves, on our own individual success, feels stronger than ever. So, how are we supposed to navigate that constant push and pull?
Well, that tension, that's pretty much the central conflict of our time, and it's exactly where we're going to start.
This really lays it out. See, on one side, you've got this deep feeling of interconnectedness, this idea that we're all in this together, that we're responsible witnesses to what's happening in the world. But then, boom, on the other side, there's this huge push for detachment. The message is, you're an autonomous consumer. You're on your own island, just looking out for number one.
So, the big question is, how do we decode all this? Well, it turns out there's a really powerful toolkit we can use to start seeing the world in a totally new way. Let's break it down.
Okay, the main tool is called comparative discourse analysis. And I know, that sounds super academic and boring, right? But stick with me. Just think of it as our official decoder ring for reality. It's a way of understanding that the words and symbols we use every day, they don't just describe the world, they are literally building it around us.
And here's how it works. It's actually a pretty simple three-step process. First, we dig into the roots. We're talking the secret history of a word, where it came from. Second, we look at reality, as in, how does this word literally shape what we believe is real? And third, we decode the symbols, all the hidden codes and cultural baggage that come along with it. So that's it. Roots, reality, and symbols.
Right, you ready? Let's put this decoder to work. We're going to start big by looking at this massive, kind of invisible battle that's happening right now between two completely different ways of seeing the world.
So, here are the two clashing worldviews. In one corner, we've got something called Pytha-gorias. Think of it as the old school view, a fixed, universal, mathematical order to everything. And in the other corner, you have myth-algorias. This is our new reality, one that's fluid, constantly changing, and driven by algorithmic stories. And look at this. They disagree on everything. What's real, what symbols mean. Heck, they disagree on the very nature of truth itself.
So let's look at Pythagoras first. This idea goes way back to the philosopher Pythagoras. The core belief is that the universe is basically a perfect mathematical blueprint. Everything is structured, it's harmonious, and you can break it all down into pure numbers and forms. It's a way of seeing the world that's all about finding absolute, unchanging certainty.
But then, you have mytho-algo-rias. And this is pretty much our world today. Here, reality isn't some fixed blueprint. No way. It's much more like a Google Doc that everyone is editing at once, a script that's constantly being rewritten by algorithms. Truth isn't set in stone, it's fluid, it's simulated. I mean, just think about AI-generated articles or viral TikTok trends. These are literally myths being created by code.
And this quote from our source material really just nails the feeling of being alive right now. It says we're caught in this double bind. We crave the structure and predictability that algorithms seem to offer, right? But at the same time, we're super suspicious of any grand universal truth, which, ironically, is what these all-powerful algorithms can start to feel like.
Okay, so we've looked at the big cosmic picture. Now let's bring our decoder down to something way more personal. How does all this apply to something every single one of us has experienced? Pain.
The source material splits the idea of pain into two really interesting concepts. On one side, you have algas. This is that sharp, singular, focused pain, like a specific injury, a target. But on the other side, you have algas. This is plural. It's a tangled, messy collection of pains. And what's fascinating is that the root word here also means seaweed. You can just picture it, right? Something diffuse, organic, sprawling, and all tangled up.
And from those two types of pain, we get two very different ways of talking about it. First up is algorithmia. And you should notice that algo root, just like in algorithm. This is when we express pain as a structured, rhythmic song. It's orderly, it's predictable, almost computational. It's our attempt to make suffering make sense.
And then, in complete contrast, you have allegoria. This one uses that algas root, the one that means seaweed. This is pain expressed as a sprawling, tangled allegory. It's not a neat, tidy song. Oh no! It's a messy, organic story that spreads out in every direction and just refuses to be pinned down by one simple explanation. Kind of like life.
Okay, so let's zoom back out and bring all these pieces together. We've gone from the structure of the entire universe all the way down to the personal feeling of pain. So, what's the big takeaway from all this decoding?
Well, here's what it all boils down to. First, and this is huge, language doesn't just describe our reality, it actively builds it. We're all caught in this constant tug-of-war between wanting a single universal order and living in a world of these fluid algorithmic myths. And we saw how even something as personal as pain can be shaped by the words we use. It can become a structured hymn or a tangled, sprawling story. Bottom line, our world is this really weird mix of things that can be quantified by data and things that are defined by stories.
So that leaves us with one last big question to think about. If it's true that our reality is literally built out of stories, both these ancient blueprints and the new algorithmic myths, then maybe the most important question you can ask yourself is this: in a world of competing stories, which ones are defining your reality?